5 harsh truths. The reset. Granny learned about decluttering that changed life. After 60. If you're over 60 and your home feels more like a museum than a place of peace, you're not alone. The reset Granny thought decluttering meant erasing her past, until she learned it was about reclaiming her present. Subscribe if you're ready to reset life after 60. Simpler, happier, better. In this video, you'll discover 5 harsh truths about decluttering that most people never talk about. Truths that will completely shift how you see your belongings, your space, and even yourself. These aren't gentle suggestions or easy fixes. They're the real lessons Granny learned the hard way, and they changed everything about how she lives now. Each truth gets deeper than the last. Stay till the end, because the 5th truth is the one that finally set her free. And it might just set you free too. You walk through your home and see piles of things untouched for years, boxes in the garage, closets stuffed with clothes that don't fit, drawers full of just-in-case items. You tell yourself you'll sort through it someday, but someday never comes. Maybe you feel guilty about letting go. Maybe you're afraid of forgetting, or maybe you're just exhausted by where to start. The clutter isn't just taking space in your home, it's taking space in your mind, your energy, your peace. Deep down, you know something has to change. Let me tell you about Granny's friend, a woman named Helen. Helen had lived in the same house for 40 years. Every room told a story. Her children's baby clothes folded in drawers, her late husband's fishing gear gathering dust in the corner, Christmas decorations from decades past stacked in boxes she could barely lift anymore. She loved her memories deeply, but somewhere along the way, she realized she felt trapped by them. One afternoon, her daughter visited and gently asked, "Mom, when was the last time you actually used the dining room?" Helen paused. She couldn't remember. That beautiful table where her family once gathered for Sunday dinners was now buried under boxes of old tax returns, magazines she meant to read, and craft supplies she'd never even opened. That simple question haunted her for weeks. She wasn't living in her home anymore. She was just storing her past in it. The rooms that once held life now held only weight. And that's when Helen decided to call Granny for help. What happened next didn't just change Helen's home. It changed both of their lives forever. Harsh truth. Chapter 1. Your stuff isn't honoring your memories, it's burying them. Granny used to believe that keeping everything meant honoring the past. She thought that holding on to her mother's dishes, her father's old books, and every card she'd ever received was the same as keeping those people and moments alive. But here's the painful truth she learned. When you hold on to too much, nothing feels special anymore. The quilt your mother lovingly made gets lost in a pile of blankets you never use. The photo album from your wedding sits in a box in the basement that you haven't opened in a decade. The china set passed down through generations collects dust in a cabinet you're afraid to touch. These precious items aren't being cherished. They're being suffocated under layers of clutter and guilt. Granny realized she was treating her memories like a storage problem instead of a treasure. She had so many special things that nothing felt special at all. When everything matters equally, nothing stands out. The items that should have brought her joy instead brought her stress every time she saw them buried, forgotten, or shoved into a corner. The reset. Choose your treasures intentionally and courageously. Walk through your home and ask yourself, does this item bring me joy when I see it, or does it bring me guilt when I ignore it? There's your answer. Keep only the items that genuinely light up your heart, the ones you want to see, touch, and share stories about. Display what truly matters. Put that quilt on your bed or hang it on the wall where you can admire it every day. Frame a few precious photos instead of keeping hundreds hidden away. Use the special dishes, even if it's just for yourself on a Tuesday afternoon. Harsh truth. Chapter 2. Decluttering isn't about throwing away your life. It's about making room for the life you still want to live. Helen thought letting go of her husband's things meant letting go of him. His jacket still hung in the closet. His tools filled the garage. His reading glasses sat on the nightstand, exactly where he'd left them years ago. She couldn't bear to move any of it. In her mind, keeping everything meant keeping him close. Touching his belongings felt like touching him one more time. But Granny gently helped her see it differently. She asked Helen a question that changed everything. When you look at all these things, do you feel closer to him, or do you feel frozen in the day he left? Helen broke down. The truth was, she felt stuck. She wasn't honoring his memory, she was building a shrine that kept her from living. Granny sat with her and said, "You're not erasing him by letting go. You're making space to live fully in the present while still holding his memory sacred. He wouldn't want you trapped in a museum of the past. He'd want you to breathe again." Together, they made intentional choices. They kept one beautiful photo that captured his smile perfectly, the one that made Helen's heart warm every time she saw it. They kept his favourite watch, which now sits on her dresser where she can hold it when she misses him. And they kept a love letter he'd written her on their anniversary, tucked safely in a special box she opens on meaningful days. The rest, the dusty tools he'd never use again, the worn-out jackets that no longer smelled like him, the boxes of paperwork and old receipts they donated to people who could actually use them. Someone rebuilding their life got those tools. Someone staying warm got those jackets. His things found purpose again, just like Helen needed to. Harsh truth. Shur 3. I might need it someday, is fear, not practicality. Granny had a closet full of clothes she hadn't worn in a decade. Dresses from her thinner days, blazers from her working years, shoes that hurt her feet but were too nice to give away. She kept them all because of those two dangerous words, what if? What if I lose weight? What if I need something fancy? What if someone invites me somewhere special? What if? What if? What if? But those what ifs weren't helping her. They were keeping her stuck in a painful loop of shame and regret. Every time she opened that closet, she didn't see possibility. She saw failure. She felt shame about her body, regret about the past, anxiety about a future that might never come. The clothes weren't there to serve her. They were there to remind her of who she used to be and who she thought she should become. One day, Granny stopped and asked herself a brutally honest question. Am I keeping this because I'll actually use it, or because I'm afraid to let go? The answer, almost every single time, was fear. Fear of waste, fear of regret, fear of admitting that chapter of her life was over, fear of accepting herself exactly as she is right now. She realized that I might need it someday wasn't practicality. It was fear dressed up as responsibility. It was her mind's way of avoiding grief, change, and the uncomfortable truth that she was different now. And that was okay. So Granny made a new rule. If she hadn't used something in 2 years, and it didn't bring her genuine joy or serve her current life, it had to go. Not because she was wasteful, but because she finally understood. Those items weren't helping her. They were haunting her. She donated the dresses that no longer fit. She let go of the blazers from a career she'd retired from. She released the just-in-case kitchen gadgets, the duplicate tools, the mountains of craft supplies for projects she'd never start. And with each bag that left her home, she felt lighter, not just physically, but emotionally. Harsh truth, number 4, your children don't want your stuff, and that's okay. This one hurt Granny the most. For years, she'd carefully saved china sets, vintage furniture, and family heirlooms, assuming her children would treasure them the way she did. She imagined her daughter setting her grandmother's table for holidays. She pictured her son displaying the antique clock in his living room. She held onto it all because she believed she was preserving family legacy, passing down something meaningful to the next generation. But when she finally gathered the courage to ask her children what they actually wanted, the answers broke her heart. They kindly, lovingly admitted they didn't have space in their smaller homes. The furniture didn't match their modern style. The china felt too formal for how they lived. And honestly, they simply didn't want the burden of storage, the guilt of not using it, or the pressure of keeping things they didn't love just because they were family heirlooms. At first, Granny felt deeply rejected. She thought, don't they care about family history? Don't they value what I value? It felt personal, like they were rejecting her, not just her things. She felt angry, hurt, and foolish for holding on to it all for so long. But then, after the sting faded, she realized something profound. Her children loved her, not her dishes. They didn't need her grandmother's china to remember family dinners. They remembered her laughter, her stories, her love. The memories weren't in the objects. They were in the moments they'd shared together. Holding on to things for them wasn't the gift she thought it was. It was pressure. Pressure she was placing on herself to be the keeper of the past, and pressure she was unknowingly putting on them to carry forward things they never asked for. Granny also realized she'd been holding on to her parents' and grandparents' belongings out of guilt. She feared that letting go meant dishonoring them, wasting their lives, erasing their memory. But the truth was, those objects had already served their purpose. They'd been loved and used in their time. Now, they were just taking up space, physically and emotionally. Harsh truth. 5. Decluttering is grief work, and that's why it's so hard. Granny finally understood why decluttering felt so impossibly painful. It wasn't about the things themselves. It was never really about the things. It was about what those things represented. People she'd lost and would never see again. Dreams that didn't come true. Versions of herself she'd outgrown, but wasn't ready to say goodbye to. Every item she touched was a small goodbye. Her husband's sweater was the last piece of him she could hold. Her daughter's baby shoes were proof that those precious years had been real, even though they were gone. The craft supplies were dreams of the artist she thought she'd become. The business clothes were the career woman she once was. The exercise equipment was the healthier, more disciplined version of herself she'd hoped to be. Letting go of these things meant accepting painful truths. It meant admitting her husband was truly gone. It meant acknowledging her children had grown up and moved on. It meant facing the gap between who she'd planned to be and who I actually became. That's grief. Raw, real, unavoidable grief. And grief doesn't move quickly. It doesn't follow a schedule or a 3-step plan. It moves in unpredictable waves. Some days, Granny felt strong and clear-headed. She could fill 3 donation bags, make decisive choices, and feel genuinely lighter. Those were the good days. But other days, she'd open a box and find a birthday card from her mother, written in handwriting she'd never see again. She'd collapse on the floor and cry. She couldn't make a single decision. She'd close the box and walk away, feeling like a failure. And she'd beat herself up for not being strong enough to just get it done. But here's what Granny learned. Those hard days weren't failures. They were part of the process. Decluttering after 60 isn't like organizing a junk drawer. It's dismantling decades of life, love, loss, and identity. It's sacred work. It's brutal work. And it deserves respect, time, and tenderness. The reset. Give yourself full permission to grieve as you declutter. Stop treating this like a productivity task or a weekend project. This is a journey, a deeply personal, emotional journey through your own life story. You don't owe anyone speed. You don't owe anyone efficiency. Go slow. Be gentle with yourself. Cry when you need to. Laugh when memories make you smile. Take breaks. Walk away when it's too much. Come back when you're ready. There's no deadline. There's no right way to do this. But here's what most people don't realize. Decluttering isn't really about the stuff at all. It's about identity. Every object you keep is a piece of who you were, who you thought you'd be, or who others expected you to be. The china represents the hostess you were supposed to become. The clothes represent the body you're mourning. The boxes represent dreams you're not ready to release. The secret. When you let go of the clutter, you're not losing yourself. You're finding yourself again. The real you who exists right now. The you who deserves a home that feels like peace, not a storage unit for the past. Granny didn't just declutter her house. She decluttered her guilt, her shame, her fear, and her desperate need to prove her life had meaning through objects. And in doing so, she found something she hadn't felt in years: freedom. True, breathtaking freedom to simply be. After 6 months, Helen's home looked completely different. Her dining room became a space where she painted watercolors every morning. Her bedroom felt calm and spacious. She stopped feeling anxious when people visited. But the biggest change wasn't the house, it was Helen herself. She laughed more. She moved freely. She invited friends over again. She even took a trip she'd postponed for years, no longer chained to managing her stuff. Granny's lesson: the reset isn't about perfection, it's about peace. It's about choosing a life that feels alive, not archived. Remember, decluttering after 60 isn't about erasing your story. It's about editing it down to the chapters that still matter. It's about making space for the life you're still living, not just the life you've already lived. Your home should support your present, not store your past. If this video helped you see decluttering differently, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs permission to let go.